did want to take some time to welcome you to Atlanta Fest, but also just to kind of ask you a couple of questions. We won't be long, but you know, everybody looks now at the show. Why don't we back up and say, how did it all begin with Miss Kay and Mr. Phil?
I was the quarterback.
And I was the cheerleader.
Miss Kay's famous line now, Georgia, is this. Because for 28 years I didn't follow Jesus, and here's what she said. She said, Phil, I've been poor with you when you were mean, and you didn't know who Jesus was. Now that I am rich with you and you know Jesus, I'm not going anywhere.
But you know what? I didn't go anywhere when you was mean and poor at all. I stayed right with you.
I'm glad she waited me out.
I'm on a 50-mile-per-hour train right now. I'm jumping on. Tell us about the show. Why don't both of you tell us your favorite episode? Do you have one?
I like the one where I'm counseling my grandchildren. Enough said. You notice I said no hands below the neck. I meant that.
I kind of like the one where we're in the boat and he's totally ignoring me when I'm going down memory lane by myself.
Yep.
Because that was the truest one we've ever done right there.
You know, I have to admit, on Facebook, you get interesting comments every once in a while. And we put out, ask a question, and one of them said, have Miss Kay ask Miss Kay, what's his favorite meal?
Oh, that would be hard. Okay, I know he loves that Southern fried chicken with our homemade biscuits. I know he loves that. And then what else would we say, Phil? Jambalaya or something else?
I'd say jambalaya. I'd say duck gumbo. Fried squirrel. Chicken fried deer steak. Doves and gravy.
See, there's not just one.
Would you help a boy from Alabama? I'm going to mispronounce it, but it's on the show. Boudin?
Boudin, yummy.
So I've watched it like 7 times. I still can't pronounce it. What is it?
Boudin. It's really what it's called is a blood sausage, but it's a sausage that's made with rice, which I want you to know, if anybody here does like me, I buy 20 pounds of rice at a time, and it lasts about a month. That's all.
Wow. Okay. Now, Phil, you have your stance for Christ is so well known now across the country. But when was the time in the professional life that you were making duck calls and things were growing, and you were going around doing some? When was the time when you crossed the line and said, I'm going to make a stand for Christ?
I didn't have Jesus the first 28 years of my life. I was into sex, drugs, rock and roll, product of the 60s. Y'all heard about it, read about it. They call it the sexual revolution, but actually it was the sinful revolution. And we're still paying to this day a big price for the era of our ways. At 28, I repented and turned to God, and I embraced Jesus. So the first 28, I didn't know Jesus. The last 39, I've been running with him. Trust me, Georgia. Trust me when I tell you the last 39 have been way better.
Now, when you first started the business, everybody sees it now, how they come out of the limo. In those early years, we were talking, it wasn't a big corporation.
Hey, I didn't see my bedroom wall for 10 years because it had duck calls stacked in it. I never saw my front porch because it was so full of the boxes to be shipped out. And every day when those 4 boys came home from school, they packaged duck calls every day.
All of them?
All of them.
Mm-hmm.
Our first year's sales in duck calls was $8,000. That's gross sales. And I said, Miss Kay, we are rolling.
And, and what
Never did I realize that it would just go to multi-millions. You never know, you know.
And you know what I said? I said, we're going to starve to death.
Now, it's Duck Dynasty, we've had 3 seasons, right? And we've seen Jeb, we've seen Jace, we've seen Willie. But there's also the 4th. Oh, okay. All right. This is for, they just reminded me. Everybody's asking, Uncle, give us the spill on Uncle Si.
Phil, you do the one you do.
If you're wondering about, is Si really that crazy? Trust me, Georgia, he's worse in real life. There's a lot of women, in fact, thousands of women, they've been contacting, sending their resumes, emails, they all want to marry Si. And for some reason, most of them are from the great state of Alabama. I don't know what to tell you.
That was good. I'll give you that one. Not too bad. All right, now I'm ready. And I was back to that. Season 3, we've seen 3, but this next season, we're going to introduce America to your oldest son, right?
Alan.
Alan. And I was going to ask Alan, would you come out with y'all? We're privileged today. Would you welcome Alan? I'm going to give you this one. And Alan, why don't you give us a brief history, and then I'm going to allow you to carry this up, okay? Thank you.
All right, I got a question. Atlanta, Georgia, we got any Duck Dynasty fans out here on this mountain? That's what I want to know. I got to tell you, I'm a big fan myself. A question I get a lot of times is, where is your beard? I just want you to know I choose not to grow one. I can grow a beard, but I'm a little bit different. A lot of people have compared our show to a lot of other shows. We've heard them talk about Andy Griffith. We've heard them talk about the Waltons. Some people even said Sanford and Son, because Mom's a hoarder, you know. So, but I like to compare it to the Munsters. How many of you remember the Munsters? Remember that old show? Now, what I love about the Munsters is, you remember there was a blonde-headed woman on the Munsters. Does anybody remember her name? Can you tell me, Georgia? Marilyn Munster. Now, you remember that Marilyn Munster was beautiful, but she lived in a family of monsters. Therefore, she thought she was ugly and weird. I can totally relate to Marilyn Munster. I'm here to tell you today, Georgia, I got it. I stick out a little bit in my own family. My family is the only family in America where you can look like everybody else and be weird and abnormal. So I understand. I get it. Now, a lot of people ask me about, are you going on the show? A lot of people ask us about Uncle Si. How many of you love Uncle Si? Let me hear it if you love Uncle Si. Everybody loves Uncle Si. We love Uncle Si. Uncle Si is crazy. I'm telling you that today. And I mean, really, he's crazy. But he's also a wonderful man of God. Every Sunday and every Wednesday night when we're back home in West Monroe, you know who's there singing as loud as he can, giving praise to God Almighty? Uncle Si. He loves it. He's a good man. He's been married for 43 years. He has 2 children and 8 grandsons, and he loves them all. He's a wonderful man of the Lord, so I just want to give God praise for Uncle Si, who he really is. But he also can make you laugh. Now, my parents, of course, they're the originators of this whole phenomenon. And as Dad told you, he became a Christian at 28 years old. And out of that clarity and out of that vision that God gave him, he started with one single duck call. And that's what God does. God takes us at our moment when we're not sure where we're going to go. And out of clarity, he gives us a vision. And as part of that vision, now Duck Dynasty has come to be. But I can tell you this. Dad wouldn't be sitting on this stage behind me if it wasn't for Miss Kay being there every second, plugging along. They say behind every great man is a good woman. Behind this great man is a great woman, Miss Kay. There's no doubt about that. And for all the reasons that you love her on the show, we love her for the same reasons as well. She's been the glue that's held our family together. She was the one that first stepped out and made